going to ignore the fact that we have the most called penalties against us in the league.
Yeah, it varies depending on how much did it hurt us.
No. Have you watched the games?
If a shot's there, we definitely want to take it.
I've always told Kevin, you know, I play off my instincts.
Your quarterback scrambling, find the open hole, help him out.
What takes it to a whole new level for me on this one is my love for Cleveland and the Browns.
I love Baker Mayfield.
Right.
I love what he did down there. He has revived his career, overcome adversity.
Yes.
I love Baker Mayfield.
Right.
Oh, I remember.
Honestly, that's not even on our radar right now.
You know, I can't give you all the ingredients to the hot dog. You might not like it.
Welcome on into the tailgate. There it is, Huntington Bank Field. Side of the Browns and Giants today. They'll kick it off at 1 o'clock on the lakefront. I'm Mark Schwab, joined by Eric Metcalf, Josh Cribbs. Week 3 of the tailgate, week 3 of the Browns. Coming off that win, so everyone's feeling a little bit better. We were very grumpy last week in the show. It feels like this is a game that should have people feeling good. The Giants stink. Am I wrong?
They're an NFL football team.
Right.
So
in name only, correct. Yes.
Right. And we could say they stink. And we say that the Browns should handle the Giants. That's if the Browns play like the Browns.
Correct.
If they do what we know they're capable of, running, passing, catching, receiving, not the penalties, tackling, being that forceful defense that we know them to be, then this should be a good game for us and our fans.
Yeah, I think if the Browns come out there and play to the level of the Giants, it could end up looking like the Giants Commanders last week. It could be a very close game, and they'll have a chance to win the game. So the Browns have to go out there, punch them in the face, and show we're a more dominant team. And they can do that both on offense and defense.
But let's not pretend as well. It's early in the year. Teams are just gathering themselves. We don't know if the Giants are just struggling to start, and now they found their niche. So that's why it's important for us to have had the lesson from playing the Cowboys and understand, okay, we're ready now. Let's go, especially keeping that momentum from last week.
Well, we talk a lot about Deshaun Watson for obvious reasons. The Giants have Daniel Jones as their quarterback. He was a first-round pick. Frankly, he's overpaid. If you said, who do you like better in this matchup, even though people have been down on Watson, boy, it's hard to not pick him in this one as far as which quarterback you like better.
You have to pick him. I mean, he's always been better than
right, he's never not been better.
Right, he's always been better. I mean, I think when you look at the Browns and people think of Deshaun Watson and his contract, and everyone looks at the league. They look at quarterbacks throwing for 300 yards all over the place. But that's not how the Browns play football. So it's not necessarily needed for him to go out there and throw 300 and have 300-yard passing game. He needs to be efficient, move the ball, sometimes win some games with his passing, and then you get to see the true Deshaun, like in the play he made last week when he was scrambling around and threw it to the sideline.
He not only did that once, he did it a few times. He extended plays. This is reminiscent of what Roethlisberger did with the Steelers for years. Basically, after contact, after the pocket breakdown, scrambling around and then finding a way out of no way. This is the it factor from the quarterback that we have. That's the money we pay for. Him to get here and to do that when there's no play, which there were several times last week, there was no play. And he scrambled out and made a play, and Jerry Jeudy was highlighted for that. So if they can continue that play, it may not show up in, 300-yard passing games because we have a quarterback who can elude capture. However, if guys start catching the ball, if we don't hurt ourselves with penalties, and don't forget, he ran one in as well. So I would definitely take Deshaun any day over Daniel Jones.
Somebody might say his best drive against Jacksonville was clearly the first drive when things are still scripted and there's no real adjustments made. And then after that, it was a lot of field goals and he just didn't look the same. And is that fair?
I don't think it's fair because they're an NFL team. They made adjustments to Watson. They made adjustments to our team. So I always put a lot of onus on coaching as well. You have a Deshaun Watson. That wasn't a fluke. Those scrambles to pick up first downs and to keep the chains moving with his feet, that was not scripted. Those were him ad-libbing. So let's not confuse athleticism and playmaking ability with scripted plays.
And then when you're off the script, sometimes the coaches have a feel for the game and what they're calling and what they want to do against a certain defense. So it might have been one of those situations where they felt like we can just stay here pretty vanilla and win the game.
I wondered about that. Did they just didn't do much because they didn't need to. I know it got dicey late, but for the most part, that game felt kind of over.
It did.
For a while.
Like the Browns were in control the whole time.
Right.
Until the end, we made a couple plays because they're pros as well. And so that's what I'm saying. The Browns can't give the Giants that opportunity to be playing.
And we don't
close.
exactly, and we're not as a fan base interested in 300-yard games when we lose.
Yeah.
For us, it's just win, baby.
You'd rather win ugly than lose pretty every single time. Tailgate off and running here on 19. Here is our Charter Spectrum vote. You can go to the website and hit us up here. Who will pass for more yards today? It's a pretty simple question. Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson. It better be one of those two who is the leading passer today, or this is going to be a really weird game. Stick around. The tailgate's off and running.
That's what I mean.
Start to your time here as a Cleveland Brown. Going back to that moment in West Virginia when you went down on the field, can you just walk me through what that moment was like?
We were just doing some punt returns and some punt rushes, and so I go to rush the punt, and I had my head lowered, which is, not great technique, but, my head was lowered. So when I go to make contact, I kind of jammed my neck down, and I instantly felt pain from my neck down into my spine. But, as far as just being able to move, being able to talk, not having any numbness or anything like that, we kind of knew that early on. So that was a great sign. But other than that, I was still nervous because they put me on this board. I couldn't move. The first thing I was thinking about was my family, definitely my twin brother. What's so crazy about this story is he was just randomly just scrolling through social media and just, typed in my name on X, Twitter or whatever, and just wanted to see what was being said about me in training camp. That was the first thing he saw. He said the first post was probably like 2 minutes, They posted it like 2 minutes before he saw it, so he was kind of in shock. He refreshed the page, and then that's when everything just started pouring in, like just now. Once we were kind of getting situated, they brought me my phones, and I didn't want to move. I didn't really want to do anything, but I felt my phone vibrating on the side of me, so I knew people were trying to call me, and I didn't get a chance to talk to anybody or answer or just tell anybody I'm okay until after I made it to the hospital. So that probably was another 25 minutes, some roughly.
You've had some injuries early on in your career, but correct me if I'm wrong, nothing with neck, spine, or anything related to that, right?
No,
so
never.
How was that different?
Once they started cutting my jersey off and cutting my pads off and stuff like that, I knew it was, very serious. In this game we play, we take it for granted, kinda. You know how fast it can change if something goes wrong. And, we try not to think about that because we just love the game so much. I'm just trying to work and, just trying to continue to show what I can do in this league and prove myself every time I touch the field. With me and my body frame and my stature, I think those type of situations on the goal line, show yardage, I'm definitely looking to take advantage of that. But as well, I felt like I was able to show more people that I'm able to do more than just that. I can catch the ball out the backfield, I can make people miss. I can do a lot, and like I said, I've been just trying to get better and better each and every year, each and every time I step on the field.
Now, Bench Strength, sponsored by Wayside Furniture.
Wayside Bench Strength, you just saw Leah's conversation with Deontay Foreman. He is the subject of this. Pierre Strong is out, so you'd think you'd see more of Foreman. We saw a lot of him last week. Some might say he was the starter. We saw a lot of him and less of Ford. This is your third guy. He's pretty good. Kind of a nice luxury to have.
Yeah, and when you say bench strength, we got to understand we have a running back by committee. So, again, you said it. Foreman started the game. When we looked up, first play of the game, Foreman was in the backfield, and they ran the ball for about 7 yards. It was about a 7-yard run, which I think set the tone that they were going to do something different and keep themselves in manageable field position. Like we said, that opening script. It doesn't work right, the opening script, if we don't have successful yards, first and second down, to keep us on track.
Yeah, and I think Deontay is a very serviceable back. He's not a starter in this league because of the way he plays, because a lot of teams like the back to be able to catch the ball a lot and do things out of the backfield. But he's a guy who can come in there and spell your top guy. And so I thought going into the season with Nick being out that at some point Deontay will be starting because of the way he runs the ball and empowering.
Yeah, no, he's been, and you like him because he's a Longhorn too.
Of course.
I knew there was something there. I think he's a good back, though. I think he's a good change of pace, hard-nosed runner.
He overcame an Achilles tear, which at one point was dang near career-ending for running backs. We are starting to see some guys, Dobbins, Akers to a degree. Foreman was the first one that's shown signs of life coming back from that injury. Watson or Jones, who's chucking it for more today? Cleveland19.com/vote. The tailgate continues.
That interview must have been long.
Miles, are you able to disclose yet the exact diagnosis of your foot?
Feet, and no. The issue itself is something that I'll probably, have to deal with for however long I end up playing. So it's just about managing that and playing through it.
The Injury Report, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney.
All right, Browns injury report today, and Giants as well. Questionable Burns, Wills Conklin on there. Browns with the outs for Njoku, Chubb, and Pierre Strong. We talked about his absence in the last segment. Garrett does not appear there, but he is dealing with some foot issues that he says goes back to when he is a child. Should we be concerned about this for 2024? Is this, I don't know. I mean, you can't do much if your feet are messed up. Right?
Well,
you got to stand on them.
If it happened since he was a child, he's a defensive MVP for the league, so I wouldn't concern myself with it now if he's just saying something about it. So he's not on the injury report. So I'll listen to the story and I'll use this as a lesson for people out there who have problems as children. Hey, look at that guy. Be like Myles Garrett.
I mean, if he's dealing with it, he can obviously play.
Right.
And if he can play, he's obviously dealing with it. I mean, so it's something he's always dealt with as a kid, and I think he'll be a guy that people will still fear when he's out there. It's not a problem for him, so it's going to be a problem for opposing offensive lines.
You worry about it because you're like, oh, man, is there something to this? But he goes out there and perform like he does. If you're a defense, I know the Giants' offense ain't worrying about his leg. They're worrying about him running through them.
Being a game record.
Exactly. Tell you what this is? This is a way to get out of practice. You know how he's doing.
That may be it.
So he concocted the whole childhood story to get out of practice.
Been years.
All right, so listen to this. Shelby Harris, everyone has a podcast, including Shelby Harris of the Browns, and this came up in his recent show.
More bad coaches out there than there are good coaches.
Woo, say it again for him.
And a lot of people don't realize that, like, even in NFL,
a lot of bad coaches.
Just because you say you're a college NFL coach, that doesn't mean you're good. And you have people that never played the position over here just reading off a board and trying to tell people what they need to do. That's not, where's the technique part of it?
All right, I want to phrase it to you guys this way. Other than straight wins and losses, what makes a coach a bad coach?
Ooh, so just what he said, not knowing the techniques of things, just simply being a robot, reading off what another coach told you to do, not being able to add any value to the people you are coaching. When you're coaching someone, you're basically inputting everything and embedding all your knowledge into them. You're programming them so that they can go out there to the best of their ability and have success based off of what you allowed or helped or instilled within them. Coaching has to be universal. You can't just get one type of player or one type of person to coach. You have to be able to coach people and children and people from all different walks of life. That's what makes you a good coach. Not being able to do that transversely makes you a bad coach.
And going back to Shelby's point, as you get higher up in levels of football, there seems to be less coaching because they think these guys come in and know how to play football. You come from the University of Texas and you're drafted, they think, oh, this guy knows how to play linebacker.
Exactly.
Because he played at a team that's successful. Well, that's not the case. These guys, like you said, have to teach technique and make sure that they know how to play football. They're teaching plays and not players.
That happens a lot. And he's correct in everything he said. There's a lot of bad coaches.
A lot of bad coaches.
Yes.
Hopefully the Browns don't have too many of them, especially not today. They get the Giants at 1 on the lakefront. Watson running away with this poll. We're back after this on the Tailgate. but you're right where you're supposed to be. It's right here. So we're doing
Terry was our best coach.
Offensive football is changing. Pre-snap motion, I think, is one thing that is totally different than it was 10 years ago. And sometimes I do this, go put on tape from 10 years ago, and the quarterback maybe is under center on 3rd and 6, and there's no motion. If it is motion, it's super slow. People are just lining up in 2x2, 3x1. It just doesn't look like the same game.
Now the Pigskin Poll, sponsored by Hyundai.
Oh, yeah, the game is always evolving. This is our poll. We do with this every week. It's on the website. How will the Browns do versus the NFC East? Remember, they have already lost to Dallas, so they cannot go 4-0. These were the options. We'll put up the results here in just a minute. Guys, for me, this comes down to whether or not you think they'll beat the Eagles between 3-1 and 2-2, because we all feel like they should smoke the Giants and Redskins. It is the NFL. Anything can happen. What do you think?
A safe bet would be 2-2. I think the Eagles are struggling still. I think we match up well against them, but it's the NFL. Any given Sunday, a team can win or lose. I'll say 2-2 to be on the safe side, because everyone is always talking about how I'm just so biased for the Browns, because I don't care about that NFC. I just care how they fare in our division and how we look for a playoff setting. So I'll say 2-2.
We don't want you to be safe.
I'm being safe.
I'm going to go out on the limb and say 3-1. I think, like you said, they beat the Giants. They can beat the Commanders. The Eagles is the toss-up, but I think, like you said, they're not playing as well as people think they are, and so they can be beat. And I think the Browns match up well. Like you said, they can run the ball. Their defense has not been the same as it was when they went to the Super Bowl. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Going 3-1.
We got a big board in the sports office that Ashley made us do, where we had to pick each game before the season, win-loss. I picked them to beat the Eagles. Because of that, I feel like I got to go 3-1. Yes. You shouldn't lose today. You really shouldn't lose
you
today.
guys.
And you got to beat Washington. Let me ask you this. Let's go back to what Stefanski was talking about. How much of the game has changed even in 10 years. Well, these are the results, by the way. Should mention this first. The folks, how about this for a minute? The folks are either optimistic at 3-1.
I love it.
Or pessimistic at 1-3. This is unlike Cleveland. Usually that's the pessimistic 2-2, 1-3 crowd. I'm just happy that some of the folks feel 3-1 is at hand, despite playing a powerhouse like the Eagles.
They're a smart group. They understand the Eagles have weaknesses now.
Let's go back to what Stefanski was saying there and how much the game has changed in 10 years. When you guys are watching stuff, how much you're like, we never did that, or man, if I could do this, these are the things I would have been able to do that I couldn't do because we didn't play the game that way. How much do you guys think about stuff like that?
I think about it all the time.
You would cut off.
I think about it all the time, because when I was playing football, it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. You line up in the I formation, hand the ball off, and run between the tackles, which is not my style. But the way they play football now with running backs, with the Christian McCaffreys and guys like that, you can run in the backfield, you spread out, catch some balls. I would love to play today, and so I think about it all the time. How much money would I have right now?
Oh, wow. Yes.
A lot.
Yes. Well, it's definitely a difference. It's a copycat league. So whatever teams tend to have success, then other offensive coordinators, other teams follow suit. Even with the team who wins the Super Bowl or gets to the two teams in the Super Bowl or the AFC or NFC Championship, the quarterback, that whatever style of play that quarterback, that Super Bowl winning quarterback is, the league starts to look for that type of mold.
That's the way they go. We are still plowing through the tailgate, almost halfway through the show. Browns and Giants today at 1 o'clock. It'll be right there. Second home game of the year. Everyone confident in Deshaun Watson. Matt was saying it could be Jones because they might be down by so much they got to throw it. And that is a fair point. We'll see. Stick around. Tailgate continues after this.
Follow the Money, sponsored by Cardinal Credit Union.
All right, our Cardinal Credit Union. This is amazing to me. The average NIL earnings for SEC quarterbacks this year, $1.4 million. Brock Purdy, a Super Bowl quarterback, making $1 million. NIL has arrived. Should college quarterbacks be making more than a guy who went to the Super Bowl? This is the system we live in.
That is. Your answer is no, but that's just the way it is. If you look at how it was for the WNBA players and the women, the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, they made more in college. So they were sticking that thing out in college because they was making that money. Now they took a pay cut, and now they're looking for endorsements. However, when you look at Purdy and some of those guys, he's going to get you don't have to wait that long because he's going to get that boost that he deserves. Because also, college NIL money, people don't understand. Their scholarship is taken out of the NIL money. When you have NIL money, you don't get a scholarship. And I know it's only like a couple $100,000, but that's what's taken out of the NIL deal. So it's minus the scholarship, the college money.
And absolutely not. They should not make more, but they should make money. I mean, I think about looking at the University of Texas. They have 2 quarterbacks that add to that.
Yep.
And contribute to that $1.4 million. But you have a NFL quarterback who's in the highest level of football.
Right.
There's no way that
some dude at the SEC.
That's what I see different. You talking about how we see the NFL different.
Yeah.
Well, I saw college different. Like if I would have made more in college my first few years than I would in the NFL my first few years.
And I found a way to get you something, I'm sure.
Something.
Check this out. This is from, first of all, I can't believe I'm about to say this. This is Baker Mayfield on Corey Kluber's podcast. Yes, we said earlier, everyone has a podcast. Corey Kluber, who never said anything to us in the media, has a podcast. He had Baker Mayfield on it. And check this out.
The building was a little bit different with Tom in there. Obviously, playing-wise, Tom was different. He had everybody dialed in, high-strung environment, so I think everybody was pretty stressed out. You hear some of the stories about if he didn't like a certain play call and he didn't like it throughout the week and they still called it in the game, there might have been a throwaway on purpose or thrown at the running back or receiver's feet. There's a lot of mind games going on.
All right, so that's him talking about Brady. This comes off. This can be seen as Mayfield ripping Brady. Or maybe he's just saying, I heard these things. Is this bad look?
I don't think it is. I think it's just, inside look at what could possibly be going on, because it probably went on with him as it relates to play calling and calls he didn't like or didn't fit him. So I look at it just an inside track from somebody who's still in it and doing it to the fans. And I think it just adds something to that podcast venue.
Right, when you're talking about Tom Brady and what you heard, everybody's heard everything about Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, whether it be Tom at New England or at Tampa. But I think it's one of those things where, like you said, it's good for media. People want to hear these stories that secondhand, because Baker heard it from someone else also, and so he doesn't actually know. And Tom is arguably the greatest quarterback in the league.
Right, and we never put it past him. Look at his roast.
Right.
He admitted to the Deflategate. He said they could have just paid me. Yes, I did it.
And by the way, here's the thing. For all that stuff Tom did, it worked. He won 7 Super Bowls. It worked. The inactives are coming out here in just a few minutes. We will have that next. The Tailgate continues here on 19.
Now the quick picks, sponsored by Kia.
To me, it boiled down to I wanted to earn the trust and respect of my teammates and coaches. And then if it grew from there, that was great. But my focus was to be a dependable, reliable player that my teammates and coaches could count on to do his job.
The awesome Phil Dawson there being honored by the Browns. I know you were not around during that tenure of the Browns. You certainly played with Phil. How do you remember him?
Old Faithful is what I call Phil. Anytime that the offense scored, I started getting ready for special teams when for kickoff when Phil was out there. Because every time he lined up, 9 times out of 10, it's going through. He very rarely missed a chip shot. So Phil was Old Faithful. Even when the game was on the line and it was a go-ahead field goal, we don't have to look. I'm like, man, we got this. Go ahead and celebrate. And majority of the time we did. And his one memory in particular, the Baltimore game in Baltimore, when the ball hit the goalpost. And it hit the goalpost and went through, hit the crossbar, the back bar, and then came back towards the end zone. They said no good. And Ravens players emptied the stands and went inside. They had to get called back out of the locker room, and we went into overtime because he made the kick. So I just have nothing but admiration for Phil, and it's well-deserved.
He was unbelievable. All right, there's plenty of Browns legends. They're participating also in a flag football game today. One of the gentlemen on my right are in it. That guy right there. Cribbs, LaCharles. I didn't think I'd hear the name Steve Zahersky today. I'm not going to lie. Hillary Hughes and Johnson Batamosi, and you will be taking on Joe Hayden, Paul Kruger, Jamel White, Matt Stewart, Andrew Hawkins, and Jordan Norwood. What is the strategy today in alumni flag football?
So first, we're only going 20 yards and in. So we ain't going out there, and the strategy is don't get hurt. And I haven't sprinted since the summertime in working out with my son. And even then, I stopped because I tweaked my growing. So I'm not looking forward to sprinting or jumping or running at all. I'm going to go out there and attempt not to get hurt. That is my plan.
And with this in mind, that being the number one strategy, that's why when they asked me to play, I was absolutely not.
No.
There is no way.
It's going to be fun. I have my Browns gloves. They're giving us shorts and jerseys. I'm going to go and catch some balls standing still. I'm like, yeah, that's how I would have did it.
All right. Well, we know Metcalf is inactive for the flag football game. What do we have for the regular folks here in the inactives in the regular game? We have DTR, of course, Pierre Strong, Cohen. Conklin is really the name there. Njoku we knew would be out. Jack Conklin, inactive again. What do you think?
I don't know what we're going to do there. Do we need him to be in there playing? But if he can't play, it hurts us. And he hasn't played in the last couple of years. So now I think it's a matter of him getting healthy, fully healthy or whatever, and just moving Dewan in and trying to be good at that spot. I mean, I don't know what we do with that.
They're 3 games in. Why isn't he on IR? Why didn't you just IR him at the start of the game?
I'm looking forward to seeing his backups, that bench strength that we talked about. I'm looking forward to somebody trying to win a job. I mean, this is a good opportunity. We've seen it with Bledsoe and Tom Brady. Now, with injury comes opportunity. Let's see these guys step up. If Conklin is hurt, and he needs to get back to 100. He'll come back at some point. But if we're not talking about our offensive line after this win today, hopefully, that's a good thing. If they're handling business, that's a good thing.
A lot of times you do only talk about them. It's like official.
When it's a problem.
When it's a problem.
Exactly.
And you don't want to have a problem. We're not done yet. The tailgate continues here on 19. Daniel Jones, apparently the Jones family is in town. They're voting on this. It's down now. Jones up to down by 50% instead of about 70. At Cleveland19.com/vote. Who's throwing for more yards in our Charter Spectrum poll? We'll talk about it later on in the program. Stick around.
Now, the Big Run Report, sponsored by Dunkin'.
Daniel Jones had ACL surgery in November, but is he any less reluctant to run?
Oh, no. Have you watched the games? Dude, no, dude is, I mean, second play of the game, against Washington, he's keeping it, and he's not sliding. He's running like a running back.
Big Run Report. Their best running back is Devin Singletary, and so it's probably more valuable to discuss their quarterback. As they talked about there, Daniel Jones, he doesn't throw. I know they call him Danny Dimes. I don't know why he doesn't throw many dimes, but he does run well. That can be a problem. It's an X factor.
I think so as well. Having a mobile quarterback, a guy who can drop back and, like our guy, doesn't just look to throw the ball away, but continue, trying to move the chains with his feet. Not only that, it kind of messes up your scheme, so to speak, because now you're asking D-line and linebackers to contain. And you guys like Myles Garrett and Zadarius, they have to be really kind of on point with their contain and not rushing up the field without backtracking, so you don't let this guy get out the pocket and make plays with his feet.
Whenever you have a running quarterback, it stresses the defense out because you really can't account for them. You try to have a spot depending on who the runner is, but you can't account for them because there are not enough players out on the field. And so it's important that, like you said, defensive line maintain their levels and their lanes to keep him from getting out in space, because that's when it becomes a problem.
You could green dog it, and green dog is just having if you see the running back block, that makes the linebacker blitz. Mm-hmm. Anytime you see, and they could do that to try to contain him. And I would say on passing plays, on second and third down, to do that, knowing that first down is more likely a run play or something like that, and we don't expect him to run out the pocket.
How good do you think Brian Daboll is, their head coach? Had the big first year. They haven't been good since. He was really good when he had Josh Allen. Who wouldn't be? How good is this guy?
I think he's a decent head coach. I think a lot of times you're only judged off of your team. You're only judged off of the product you put out on the field. At the same time, this is professional football. You need a good product. You need guys. You need guys to perform. I was under him. We played well under Daboll. He's played well. He's coached well everywhere he's been. So he hasn't got there by a fluke. So I think athletes help him.
But it goes back to the point. He's flourished as a coordinator more so than a head coach. Mm-hmm. And with them, and you're talking about their offense is in Philly now, in Saquon Barkley.
But that's not up to him. We saw that.
We know that. Right. But I'm saying that the fact of the matter is, players can make a coach look better. Right. And when he's calling the offense, if you have a Saquon Barkley in your offense, he's able to do more with this guy who is a player. And so, because they don't have those type of players anymore, it makes it harder.
I think they shuffled their upper management up a little bit because of those things that happened with Saquon.
Now he's in Philly. This is a little surprising, but yes, it's true. The Browns defense does not have a takeaway yet. They do not have a takeaway yet.
They almost had three.
I know.
They almost had three.
Do we have a stat, a graphic for almost?
It's still early. It's still early.
I mean, but and they're 1-1. But takeaways lead to victories.
Yes.
And so, I mean, when we played the Cowboys, we didn't have any takeaways, but we gave the ball away. And that's what happens. And so we have to start generating those takeaways.
But you know what also?
To win the game.
What also leads to victory is scoring points and forcing the defense to go the offense to go 3 and out. And they did that a few times, even early in the Cowboys game. I think it's a give and take. I think, and it shouldn't be like this, but as our offense goes, that empowers our defense even more.
Sometimes in sports, things come down to 3 words to me. They are due. Feels like it's going to happen this week. Tailgate continues right after this.
Now, around the AFC, sponsored by Toyota dealers.
To me, if Russ is healthy, I'm sticking with Justin. The only stat that matters is a W and the turnovers. And you're winning the turnover battle, and you're winning. Don't worry about what people are saying in terms of yards, in terms of touchdowns, in terms of all that. You're winning.
All right, so Ben Roethlisberger wants to stick with the Buckeye. Justin Fields, is he right?
Yes, he's not really saying I want to. He's basically just saying the facts. You're winning the turnover margin, and you're winning. I mean, what's there else to talk about? And when we talk about our Browns and how much should Deshaun Watson throw for, we're winning. That's all we need to talk about. I don't care about the yards. I don't care how we do it. Just win. And that's what the Steelers are doing now. They're 2-0 with Justin Fields. Until it's broke, don't try to fix it.
And I don't know if, even if Russ comes in, if it becomes broke, that he could fix it. I think Justin Fields gives them the best opportunity to win these games at this point in Russ's career. And so when you look at the Steelers, it's a situation where they don't have to pay Russ money. They only pay him like $1 million because Denver's taking care of that. They have Justin Fields on their roster. They pay him $10 million. And so they need to see if he can play right now anyway.
They can work on certain packages to where they run different quarterbacks in there, one series or two series here and there. Maybe they should do that to start to ease Russell Wilson back in the game and throwing the ball and things like that. But I think Justin Fields, like Ben said, like Eric said, should have the brunt of the quarterback play.
And then not to mention that Justin Fields' ability to run stresses a defense out. And then Steelers want to run the football and stop the run. And so you have somebody out there with an added dimension who can run the football possibly for 100 yards, as we've seen. It works out for them.
Right now, playing the Steelers is like playing Army or Navy or something like that.
They don't do the triple option yet, do they?
But it's like that. You're going to see a lot of run plays.
You could run it with Fields. You could run it.
Trust Kent State.
Hey, don't put Kent State in it. I'm embarrassed right now. Don't put them in this.
Let's go around the AFC. Here we're just going to spot you out of the games in the AFC North. Steelers, Chargers, that's a 1 p.m. kick today. Ravens, Cowboys, Commanders, and Bengals in the Monday Nighter. And we had the standings up briefly. Ravens, Bengals, both considered Super Bowl contenders. Naturally, they are 0-2.
Right.
They always start slow.
Bengals always start slow. The Ravens have had games that they actually should have won. They could have been 2-0, and so I think they'll be better as they go. The Bengals will probably be better. It's going to be tough in this division. It's going to be, and Steelers probably win if Justin Herbert doesn't play today. They'll probably win again. So this division, I think, is the toughest division in the league.
Well, it's not who's the toughest. It's who's the toughest the longest. It doesn't matter about right now. Like we always say, the Bengals have a slow start. Yeah. It matters how you finish. Because towards October, November, let's see the stats and the win percentages then, as opposed to now, because it will change.
I don't get the Bengals slow starting. Nobody understands it. And then they're like playing their best football in November and December, but for some reason, September, they're completely useless. I mean, they lost to the Patriots, for crying out loud. A little bit of I don't know if wild card's the right word, but someone to keep an eye on today that could be a problem for the Browns is rookie receiver Malik Neighbors. He has been, that offense is not good, but he has been dynamic. First of all, massive target share for him. If you're into the fantasy stuff, people didn't know what to expect out of this guy. Rookie receiver, bad quarterback. Would that hold him back? No. He has been dynamic, and it looks like he's just the next star out of LSU to hit the NFL.
Nothing against his talent and nothing against him as a football player, but has he played against Denzel Ward type of mentality, type of play, Martin Emerson, Greg Newsome, our defense, a Schwartz type of defense? Has he seen that level as of yet? So I would hold off on this kid.
Don't anoint him yet.
Yeah, don't anoint him yet. It's week 3, and I just think that as we go into the middle part of that, the stars will start to prevail themselves.
I don't want to anoint him, but he's been good, and because he gets a whole bunch of targets. He gets a lot of targets. And so there's going to be opportunities for him to make plays. I mean, he's played well other than the one drop, and I think was in the first week that cost him a game. But he gets so many targets during the course of a game.
Yeah. He got to catch some. Yeah, opportunity is there.
He has the opportunity to get a lot of, like 100 plus easy.
I should have got him on my fantasy team.
He was one of those guys in fantasy. You always do this with the rookies, like especially you don't know where to take him.
Yeah, you never know.
Because you could take him in round 7 and they play like a second rounder, or you could take him in round 7 and they're like Jamison Williams, who right now is good, but in his first couple of years he was useless. So it's a total dart throw, and it's worked out if you have neighbors in fantasy. And boy, he's been really good. Amari Cooper, another one. How do you feel about Amari today?
I think this is a back on track game for Amari Cooper. I think for him it was strictly concentration. It was strictly a head game, and you don't expect this from him. The first game you could see, that's crazy. He's good. He'll bounce back. The second game it was like, hold on now. This is very unlike him. He's a veteran. He's proven, and if he's doing that, then coaches have to kind of put their hand on his shoulder like, you good? Okay, all right, let's see that you're good this game. Because he's a guy that we should never have to worry about. And I think this game will show everybody, the fans, the football world, Amari Cooper's back. He's good, yeah. He's good, guys.
This should be a back-on-track game, as you said, but at the same time, it shouldn't be forced.
Right.
This is a game where the Giants give up a lot of yards rushing the ball. And so I wouldn't force it to him. I just would let it come organically. And get him in and get him through the flow. And like you said, it's a long season. We want him to be good at the end. So let's just keep getting better each week.
I don't think it'll be an issue with Mark Cooper moving forward.
All right, here's our game today here on 19. The Skylar Thompson led Miami Dolphins against Seattle. That is a 4:05 kick. Browns at 1, and we've had the uniforms up there. What are the kits looking like for the touch game today, Josh?
Stop us, man, please. I haven't seen a lot.
Bandages!
I haven't seen.
For what it's worth, on my way down, I always love seeing the jerseys. I saw a Mark Bavaro jersey downtown. That is awesome.
Oh, my gosh.
Take care.
The Injury Report, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney. The Injury Report, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney. The Injury Report, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney.